The impossible arrival. Station Commander Zara Kell stared at the monitoring screens with the practiced indifference of someone who had spent far too many rotations watching nothing happen. Outpost Helios 9 drifted at the edge of what the Gaveran Protectorate euphemistically called the Preservation Zone, a vast, empty region of space that everyone else in the galaxy simply called the Dead Zone. Status report. Officer Dren, she said, not bothering to look at her operations specialist. Dren's 8 fingers tapped across his console, the blue-gray scales on his hands catching the dim light of the monitoring station. All systems nominal, Commander. Background radiation consistent with historical norms. No anomalous readings. Of course there weren't, Zara thought. There never were. This posting was where careers came to die. Monitoring a sector of space declared off-limits nearly 70 years ago after the Extinction War. The humans who had once populated this region were gone, their colonies reduced to radioactive ash, their homeworld quarantined behind an impenetrable blockade. I don't understand why we maintain this station, Dren said, voicing the thought that crossed every crew member's mind at least once per shift. The humans are extinct. Their surviving outposts were absorbed into the collective decades ago. We're guarding an empty grave. Zara gave the standard response, the one drilled into every Gaveran officer. The Admiralty has its reasons. The dead zone remains restricted until officially declared otherwise. She was about to continue when a sharp tone cut through the ambient hum of the station. A red indicator flashed on Dren's console. What is that? Zara demanded, suddenly alert. Dren's crest flared in surprise. Unknown, Commander. There's something in the dead zone. Something that wasn't there during our last sweep. Run diagnostics. Already running. All systems functioning properly. Dren looked up, his yellow eyes wide. This is not a malfunction. Zara moved to his station, watching as he magnified the signal. The fuzzy outline on the screen sharpened, revealing a silhouette against the backdrop of stars. It was unmistakably a ship, but unlike any Gaveran vessel. Its hull was sleek and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. There were no visible running lights, no conventional propulsion systems. Identify, Zara ordered, feeling her throat ridges constrict. Dren ran the image through their database. No match in Gaveran records, checking against allied species. Zara leaned closer. There was something eerily familiar about the ship's design, something that triggered a warning deep in her hindbrain. Commander, Dren's voice had dropped to a whisper. I found a partial match in the historical archives. A second image appeared beside the anomaly. An old schematic labeled in archaic Gaveran script. The resemblance was unmistakable. That's impossible, Zara breathed. The database identifies it as human in origin, specifically a Terran Confederacy deep space vessel. But Commander, those ships haven't been seen in nearly 70 years. Check again, Zara ordered. It can't be human. The humans are gone. Dren ran the scan again. Confirmed. 89% probability of human origin. And Commander, he hesitated. It's not wreckage. Power signatures are present, though minimal. That ship is operational. The implication struck Zara like a physical blow. A human ship, here in the dead zone. 70 years after humanity's supposed extinction. She activated the communication array. This is Commander Zara Kell of Outpost Helios 9. Priority 1 alert to Gaveran Command. We have identified an unknown vessel of probable human origin in the dead zone, requesting immediate instructions and reinforcement. The response came almost instantly. Maintain surveillance. Do not approach. Battle Group Sunspear en route. Estimated arrival. 3 standard hours. Acknowledged, Zara said, turning back to the monitors. Keep scanning, Dren. I want to know everything about that ship before the battle group arrives. For the next hour, they watched as their instruments probed the mysterious vessel. It remained motionless, giving no indication it had detected them. Commander, Dren called out, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations within the hull. They don't match any known propulsion or weapon systems. Zara frowned. Could it be preparing to jump? I don't think so. It's more like, well, I don't know what it's like. It doesn't match anything in our records. The communication array chimed. Commander Kill, this is Admiral Voss of Battle Group Sunspear. We're approaching your position. Report. Zara straightened. Admiral, we've been monitoring the vessel. No change in position. We detect energy signatures but cannot identify their purpose. The ship appears to be of human design, though significantly advanced from historical records. Human. Admiral Voss's voice was sharp. Impossible. The humans were eradicated. The database match is conclusive, Admiral. There was a pause. We'll take it from here, Commander. Maintain your position. The massive Gavarin warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the sector, their hulls gleaming silver in the starlight, a stark contrast to the dark vessel before them. 7 cruisers, 4 destroyers, and Admiral Voss's flagship, the dreadnought Eternal Vigilance. Battle Group has arrived, Trent reported. They're deploying in standard confrontation formation. The Gavarin vessels surrounded the human ship at a cautious distance. The flagship broadcast on all frequencies in all known languages, including Arctic human dialects. Unidentified vessel. This is Admiral Voss of the Gavarin Protectorate. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or be fired upon. No response came. Admiral, Zara calmed privately. Our reading suggests the vessel may be dormant or operating on minimal power. They may not be receiving communications. We're detecting active systems, Commander, Voss replied coldly. They hear us. They're choosing not to respond. The Admiral issued new orders to his battle group. A destroyer moved closer, scanning the human vessel with more powerful arrays. Commander, Dren whispered, I'm detecting an energy spike from the human ship. Before Zara could respond, a pulse of blue-white light erupted from the human vessel. It wasn't a weapon, at least not a conventional one. The light engulfed the destroyer, and for a moment, the ship seemed frozen in space. Then all of its systems went dark. The destroyer drifted, powerless. What happened? Zara demanded. Dren's fingers flew across his console. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse, but far more sophisticated than anything in our arsenal. It completely neutralized their ship without causing physical damage. The remaining Gavarin vessels immediately shifted to battle positions. The flagship broadcast again. This is your final warning. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire. This time, there was a response, not in words, but in action. The human vessel moved, not slowly, not gradually, but with a sudden acceleration that defied the laws of physics. One moment it was surrounded by Gavarin warships. The next, it was behind the formation, as if it had teleported. Impossible, Zara breathed. Nothing can move that fast without a jump drive, and there was no jump signature. The Gavarin battle group scattered, trying to re-establish their formation. The human ship moved again, this time positioning itself directly above the flagship. It was a clear threat, and Admiral Voss responded accordingly. All vessels, open fire. Energy beams and missile salvos converged on the human ship. Zara expected to see it vaporized in the barrage. Instead, the weapons seemed to dissipate harmlessly against an invisible barrier surrounding the vessel. Not shields as the Gavarins understood them. There was no energy flare, no visible deflection. The attacks simply ceased to exist before they could impact the hull. Their defensive technology, Dren whispered, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered. The human ship pulsed again, this time emitting a wideband signal that washed over the entire battle group. Every Gavarin vessel suddenly lost power, drifting helplessly in space. Only Outpost Helios 9, at the edge of the sector, was spared. They disabled an entire battle group, Zara said in disbelief, without firing a single conventional weapon. The communication array crackled to life. But it wasn't Admiral Voss. The voice that came through was strange, oddly accented Gavarin, as if spoken by someone who had learned it from recordings rather than native speakers. Gavarin Monitoring Station. This is Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth Regenesis ship Lazarus Rising. Your military vessels have been temporarily neutralized. They will regain power in approximately 2 standard hours. No permanent damage has been inflicted. Zara and Dren exchanged shocked glances. An actual human, a member of a species supposedly extinct for 70 years, was speaking to them. This is Commander Zara Kell of Outpost Helios 9. She responded carefully. You have entered restricted space and disabled our vessels. Explain your presence and intentions immediately. There was a pause before the human responded. Your ancestors declared this sector off-limits after they believed they had eliminated my species in the Extinction War. You were mistaken. A chill ran down Zora's spine. Her education had covered the Extinction War, but always from the perspective that the human threat had been neutralized, that their dangerous expansion had been halted for the good of all civilized species. The war ended 70 years ago, she replied. If humans survived, why reveal yourselves now? Why here? Because, Commander Kell, the human voice replied, we are not here by chance. We have returned to reclaim what was taken from us. Your outpost has been monitoring a region of space you call the Dead Zone. We call it home. The main view screen changed, showing not the disabled Gavarin fleet but a vast starfield. Points of light began to appear within it, dozens, then hundreds of them, each resolving into a silhouette matching the ship before them. By the first egg, Dren whispered, an entire fleet. When your battle group regains power, Captain Reed continued, inform your leaders that humanity has returned. And this time, we are prepared. The transmission cut off, leaving Zara staring at the screen in horror. The single human vessel began to move away, heading toward the emerging fleet. Commander, Dren said quietly, what do we do? Zara looked at the disabled Gavarin battle group, then at the gathering human armada. A species thought extinct for 70 years had returned with technology far beyond Gavarin understanding. And they wanted revenge. We warned everyone, she said grimly, while we still can. As if in response to her words, the outpost's systems flickered. The lights dimmed, then returned to normal, but the communication array remained dead. They've isolated us, Dren reported. Long-range communications are offline. Zara stared at the view screen as more human ships appeared from the darkness of space. The Gavarin Protectorate had believed itself the dominant power in this region of the galaxy. That certainty had just been shattered. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had been hiding, evolving, preparing, and now they had returned. The war that everyone thought had ended 70 years ago was about to begin anew. The revelation that would change the galaxy had begun in her lonely outpost, and Zara Kell realized with growing dread that they might be witnessing the beginning of the end for the Gavarin Protectorate. The truth revealed. Admiral Voss's flagship drifted lifelessly in the void, surrounded by equally powerless Gavarin warships. Inside Outpost Helios 9, Commander Zara Kell worked frantically to restore communications, but every attempt failed. The human technology had thoroughly isolated them. Commander, Dren called from his station, I've managed to get short-range sensors back online. The human fleet is holding position at the edge of the sector. They haven't advanced. Zara frowned. Why disable our forces but not attack? What are they waiting for? Perhaps, Dren hesitated, perhaps they want to talk. After 70 years of hiding, that seems unlikely. Zora moved to the main console. Keep trying to establish contact with Admiral Voss's vessel. They should be regaining power soon if the human captain was telling the truth. As if on cue, the lights on the nearest Gavarin destroyer flickered to life. One by one, the battle group's systems reactivated, exactly as Captain Reed had predicted. The communication array chimed. Commander Kell. Admiral Voss's voice was tight with controlled fury. Report status. We are functional but isolated. Admiral. Long-range communications remain offline. The human vessel has joined a larger fleet at the sector boundary. A fleet. The Admiral's voice sharpened. How many ships? Hundreds, sir, with more arriving. They appear to be waiting. There was a long pause. The High Council must be informed immediately. This changes everything. Before Zara could respond, the communication array emitted a different tone. Incoming transmission from the human vessel. Sir, put it through, Voss ordered. I want to hear what these ghosts have to say. The voice of Captain Marcus Reed filled the command center again. Admiral Voss, this is Captain Reed of the Lazarus Rising. I am prepared to come aboard your vessel to discuss the situation. I will be unarmed and accompanied by 2 officers. We request safe passage under the Galactic Concord's rules of parley. Admiral Voss laughed darkly. You disable my fleet, reveal an invasion force, and now expect diplomatic courtesy. How do you even know about the Galactic Concord? It was established decades after your kind was contained. We have been watching, Admiral. Learning. We know far more about the Protectorate than you might imagine. Reed's voice remained calm. And this is not an invasion force. If we wanted war, you would already be dead. The implied threat hung in the air. Admiral Voss looked to his tactical officer, who nodded confirmation. The human fleet could have destroyed them already if that had been their intention. Very well, Voss finally said. You will be granted safe passage, but be warned. Any false move will be met with lethal force. Understood. I will shuttle over in 30 minutes. Read out. Zara exchanged glances with Dren. He's coming here. The living human? It appears so, Dren replied, his scales shifting from blue to a nervous green. I never thought I'd see one outside of historical records. Admiral, Zara calmed, request permission to attend the meeting. Denied, Commander. You will remain at your post. Voss paused. However, I want you to monitor everything. Your station detected them first. Perhaps you'll see something we miss. 30 minutes later, a small shuttle detached from the Lazarus Rising. It was as sleek and dark as its mothership, moving with the same impossible grace. It approached the Eternal Vigilance, landing in a shuttle bay that had been cleared of all personnel except a heavily armed security detail. Through the Helios 9's monitoring feed, Zara watched as 3 figures emerged from the shuttle. They were bipedal, as historical records indicated, but taller than she had expected. They wore no environmental suits despite the different atmospheric compositions, only dark, form-fitting uniforms with no insignia or markings. The central figure stepped forward, presumably Captain Reed. He was pale-skinned with dark hair cropped short, his face remarkably smooth compared to the scaled features of his Gaveran hosts. He showed no fear as he approached Admiral Voss, who stood flanked by his own security detail. Admiral Voss, the human said, extending a hand in what historical records identified as a greeting gesture. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Voss ignored the outstretched hand. Follow me. The council is waiting. The feed switched to the flagship's conference room, where a holographic projection showed 5 elderly Gaverans, the highest members of the Protectorate's ruling council. So, the eldest council member spoke, her voice crackling with age. Humanity survived. How disappointing. Captain Reed's expression remained neutral. High Counselor Thrain, your historical records do you justice. You haven't changed in 70 years. The counselor's crest flared in surprise. You know me. I know all of you, Reed replied. The architects of the Extinction War. The ones who ordered the sterilization of Earth and its colonies. The ones who declared victory when you believed us extinct. And yet here you stand. Another counselor said, how did your species survive? Our scans showed no human life signs in this sector after the final bombardment. Reed smiled thinly. We had been preparing for your betrayal long before you launched your first attack. When you came for Earth, thousands of our people were already hidden in deep space habitats, shielded from your sensors. Others had undergone genetic modifications to mask their human biosignatures. You were thorough, counselors, but not thorough enough. And you've spent 70 years plotting revenge, Admiral Voss said. No, Admiral. We've spent 70 years surviving, rebuilding, learning. Reed gestured to his companions, and evolving. One of the humans, a woman with features that seemed slightly too perfect, stepped forward. We are not the same humans you nearly exterminated, counselors. Some of us chose biological enhancement. Others merged with synthetic systems. We are stronger now, more resilient. Abominations, one counselor hissed. Survivors, Reed corrected. Your species attempted genocide because you feared human expansion, our adaptability, our technological progress. You believed we were a threat to the established order. You were right. The room went silent. Why return now? High Counselor Thrain finally asked. Why reveal yourselves after hiding for so long? Reed nodded to his other companion, who activated a holographic projector. A stellar map appeared, focusing on a specific region within the dead zone. This is why, Reed said. We call it the Nexus. Your scientists would call it a spatial anomaly. It appeared in this sector 20 years ago, a tear in spacetime that leads elsewhere. Admiral Voss leaned forward. A natural phenomenon. No, Reed replied. It was created, not by us, and not by any known species in this galaxy. We've been studying it from afar, but now it's becoming unstable. If it collapses, the resulting gravitational cascade will destroy everything within 50 light years, including several inhabited Gaveran worlds. Convenient, one counselor sneered. You expect us to believe this threat just happens to be in the sector your species once dominated. I don't care what you believe, Reed said coldly. The Nexus is real, and the danger is imminent. We've returned because we can't neutralize it alone. We need access to the dead zone, to our former colonies where we left technology that might help contain the anomaly. This could be an elaborate deception, Admiral Voss said. Reed sighed. If we wanted to destroy you, Admiral, we would have done so already. We're offering cooperation because the Nexus threatens everyone, human and Gaveran alike. Back at Outpost Helios 9, Zara watched the exchange intently. Something about the stellar map bothered her. Dren, compare that region to our sensor logs from the past year. Dren's fingers flew over his console. Commander, there have been gravitational anomalies in that exact location. Small fluctuations we attributed to sensor ghost. They're telling the truth, Zara whispered. In the conference room, the debate continued. Even if this Nexus exists, High Counselor Thrain said, why should we trust you? Your kind has every reason to seek vengeance. Because unlike the Gaveran Protectorate, Reed replied, we've learned from our mistakes. We understand now that survival depends on cooperation, not domination. The universe is vaster and stranger than either of our species imagined. This anomaly is proof of that. The third human, silent until now, finally spoke. Her voice had an unusual quality, almost musical. We've detected energy signatures from within the Nexus. Something is coming through. We don't know what, but our projections suggest it will emerge within days. The council members exchanged alarmed glances. What do you propose, Captain Reed? Thrain asked. A temporary alliance. Allow our ships safe passage to our former colonies. Share your sensor data from the last 20 years. In return, we'll provide you with our research on the Nexus and the defensive technology to protect your worlds if containment fails. And afterward, Admiral Voss demanded, what happens when this crisis is resolved? Reed's expression softened slightly. Then we negotiate a real peace, Admiral. One based on mutual respect, not fear. The galaxy has changed in 70 years. New threats have emerged. Old hatreds seem irrelevant in comparison. High Counselor Thrain studied the human for a long moment. You speak well, Captain Reed. Perhaps too well. We will need time to verify your claims about this nexus. Time is the one thing we don't have, Reed replied. But as a gesture of good faith, he nodded to one of his companions, who activated a small device. Throughout the Gaveran battle group, systems that had been disabled suddenly came back online. At Outpost Helios 9, the long-range communication array reactivated. Your systems have been fully restored, Reed said. Verify our claims, but do it quickly. As the meeting continued, Commander Zara received an urgent alert from Dren. Commander, I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the coordinates of the supposed nexus. Zara quickly patched into the conference room. Admiral Voss, the anomaly is real. We're registering an energy spike that's off the charts. The stellar map in the conference room flickered, then updated in real time. At the center of the dead zone, a point of light bloomed, a tear in the fabric of space itself. It's happening sooner than we predicted, Reed's companion said, her voice tense. The nexus is opening. Through the observation windows of the Eternal Vigilance, a distant flash of blue-white light could be seen, bright enough to momentarily outshine the stars around it. What's coming through? Admiral Voss demanded. We don't know, Reed admitted. But whatever it is, it's massive. And it's not alone. The sensor readings confirmed it. Multiple objects were emerging from the nexus, each larger than the biggest Gaveran dreadnought. High Counselor Thrane's aged features hardened with resolve. It seems we have little choice, Captain Reed. Your temporary alliance is granted. Reed nodded. We'll need to move quickly. Have your ships form up alongside ours. Follow our lead. Our shields can withstand the radiation from the nexus. Shields that somehow neutralized our most powerful weapons. Admiral Voss observed dryly. Technology we developed while hiding from you, Reed replied without apology. Technology we're now willing to share if it means survival for both our species. As the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, Reed paused before Admiral Voss. 70 years ago, your people drove us to the brink of extinction because you feared what we might become. You were right to fear us, Admiral, but for the wrong reasons. Humanity's strength isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's our capacity to forgive. Reed extended his hand again, and this time, after a moment's hesitation, Admiral Voss took it. At Outpost Helios 9, Commander Zara Kell watched as the impossible unfolded before her eyes. Gaveran and human ships moving into formation together, preparing to face an unknown threat from beyond the stars. Do you think they're telling the truth? Dren asked quietly. About wanting peace. Zara considered the question. I don't know, but they could have destroyed us and didn't. That has to count for something. As the combined fleet moved toward the growing brightness of the nexus, Zara felt a strange mix of fear and hope. For 70 years, the Gaveran Protectorate had believed itself the dominant power in this region of space. That certainty had been shattered in a single day. But perhaps something better would rise from its ashes, a new understanding between species that had once been enemies, a recognition that the universe held mysteries and dangers greater than their old hatreds. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had survived, evolved, and now returned, not for revenge, but for redemption. And in doing so, they might just save the very species that had tried to eradicate them. As the nexus grew brighter and the unknown visitors from another realm drew closer, Zara realized that a new chapter in galactic history was beginning. The dead zone would never be the same, and neither would the Gaveran Protectorate.